Coming up on Jerusalem Dateline, Operation Freedom in the Strait of Hormuz as the U.S. helps stranded ships continue to their destinations. Plus, Israel increases air power with the purchase of 2 fighter squadrons. And standing together against enemies of the West, the first Judeo-Christian Zionist Congress. And raising up fearless Israeli leaders near the shores of Galilee. All this and more coming up on this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell.
And I'm Paul Petit.
The month-long U.S.-Iranian ceasefire is on shaky ground after Iran attacked ships in the Strait of Hormuz and fired missiles at the UAE.
Also this week, President Trump announced plans for the U.S. to guide ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Here's the latest on these and other stories.
President Donald Trump is signaling the United States will maintain its military force in the region as the war of words with Iran continues.
If we left right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild. But we're not leaving right now. We're going to do it so nobody has to go back in 2 years or 5 years.
Trump's comments come as his administration prepares a new operation in the Strait of Hormuz, where hundreds of cargo ships and thousands of crew members are stranded due to the ongoing conflict. The president says the U.S. will begin guiding ships through the waterway, calling the effort a humanitarian move requested by other nations as crews begin to run low on food and water. The ship movement is merely meant to free up people, companies, and countries that have done absolutely nothing wrong. They are victims of circumstance, Trump wrote on Truth Social. Details of the plan remain unclear, including whether the U.S. will escort vessels or simply provide navigational guidance. The Associated Press reports the U.S. has created an enhanced security area outside the main shipping routes. U.S. Central Command said Project Freedom will include guided missile destroyers and more than 100 warplanes, but did not provide details on their deployment. Iran is warning against any such action. Iranian Parliament member Ibrahim Azizi said any American interference in the new maritime regime of the Strait of Hormuz will be considered a violation of the ceasefire. At the same time, diplomatic efforts appear stalled. Trump rejected Iran's latest peace proposal, calling it not acceptable, even as both sides continue indirect talks through mediators. Iran refuses to discuss its nuclear program, a red line for the president, and is calling for the war to end in 30 days. U.S. officials maintain the economic pressure on Iran is intensifying. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the blockade is having a significant impact.
And I can tell you that we are suffocating the regime, and they are not able to pay their soldiers. This is a real economic blockade, and it is in all parts of government, all hands on deck.
Meanwhile, fighting continues along Israel's northern border, with the Iranian-backed Hezbollah launching attacks despite ceasefire conditions. Hezbollah MP Hassan Fadlallah said the terror group will ignore any agreements that come from peace talks between Lebanon and Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced an expansion of Israel's air force, reinforcing the country's position as a leading military power in the region as fighting continues.
We are acquiring 2 squadrons of modern aircraft, F-35 and F-15IA. Our pilots can reach anywhere in Iranian skies, and they are prepared to do so, if required.
Separately, new findings from the USAID Office of Inspector General link additional UNRWA personnel to the October 7th attacks. 4 more staff members are accused of involvement or ties to Hamas, bringing the total number of suspended or disbarred individuals to 21. Joshua Swanson, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Iran took aggressive action Monday, launching missiles, drones, and small boats at U.S. warships and cargo vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. CENTCOM Commander Brad Cooper says the U.S. returned fire, sinking 6 small Iranian gunboats targeting the civilian ships.
The cruise missiles were going after both U.S. Navy ships, but mostly after commercial shipping. We defended both ourselves, and consistent with our commitment, we defended all the commercial ships.
Trouble started after President Trump announced the U.S. will aid some of the cargo ships and tankers stranded outside the strait, posting on Truth Social, "We will guide their ships safely out of these restricted waterways so that they can freely and ably get on with their business." The U.S. said it safely guided 2 U.S.-flagged ships through the strait. Iran is demanding all shipping go through them and claims it fired warning shots, releasing a video of the attack. In a post on X, the Iranian minister warned Project Freedom is Project Deadlock. Iran also fired missiles at the UAE on Monday in the worst violation of the ceasefire yet. The UAE's foreign ministry strongly condemned the attack as renewed Iranian aggression using missiles and drones, targeting civilian sites and representing a dangerous escalation. The UAE Defense Ministry said it engaged 15 missiles and 4 drones. One drone hit, starting a fire at a key oil facility. Israel's Iron Dome anti-missile system shot down one of the Iranian missiles. Israel sent a battery and soldiers to the UAE at the beginning of the war, Axios reported. An Iranian spokesman said on Monday, talks with the U.S. are focusing entirely on ending the war, and uranium enrichment and other nuclear materials are not on the table. President Trump told a group of business leaders the 6-week war is different from the long wars of America's past.
Our country's booming now, despite the fact that we're in I call it a mini war, because that's all they are.
He said America had to take a detour into the current war. He also said the country is doing record business and Iran's military is degraded.
They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment, they have no radar, they have no nothing. They have no leaders, actually. The leaders happen to be gone also. But can't let them have a nuclear weapon, or you'd have problems like nobody would believe.
Meanwhile, Israel says it's on high alert, ready for a full-blown resumption of hostilities after Trump warned that Iran would be blown off the face of the earth if it hits U.S. ships. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, welcome back to the set, the studio, and Jerusalem. Our fearless leader, Chris Mitchell.
Good to be back. Yeah, it's been a while.
You were out in the United States on very important business.
Yeah, well, first of all, Council of 100 meeting, many of the major donors of CBN. Then I was at CBN for the next week. And then the third week, my brothers and my sister, myself, we were inducted into the St. Mary's Hall of Fame.
St. Mary's Hall of Fame.
In Lynn, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
It's really an honor. And it was wonderful to be there. See old friends and teammates from the cross-country team. It was great.
Yeah. You need to post that photo of him when he was in high school online so we can see when he was 18 years old.
Should do
jet
that.
Black hair, young kid. I do need to ask you, obviously you've been covering the war here. You've been experiencing the war for the better part of a month before the ceasefire, then you went back to the United States. What did you notice the difference between being here, being there, and how they're viewing it and seeing it?
There's basically a disconnect, I think, over there between the war and why it's so significant and the fact of what people are experiencing at the gas pump. I mean, it hurts. It's painful. But before the war, it was about $3 a gallon. Now, during the war, after the war so far, we may see another resumption pretty soon, but we're up to $4.20, $4.40, and, people are talking about the prices. You drive with somebody and you're looking at the gas pumps and what are the prices. So for many people, it's the pain of the gas prices that really dominates this whole idea. But they're not making, and I can understand why sometimes they're not making, why it's so significant that we try to eliminate Iran's nuclear ambitions. That's not a problem just for Israel, but also the Middle East and the world and the U.S. So there's a kind of a disconnect, I think, between what's happening here and what's happening in the U.S.
Do they still feel like we were sort of pushed into this war by Netanyahu? What are you hearing?
Well, some people obviously feel that, and others, don't. And, Trump's been very clear. Netanyahu didn't push him in, and he's been very clear for years, I mean, long before he was even president, that Iran represented an existential threat, can't have a nuclear Iran, and really there's been the main sticking point during all these negotiations. No nuclear weapons for Iran.
Now, I don't know if you have the time to watch news there, whether it be local or national news while in the U.S. Are you hearing sort of a different story at all?
Definitely, yeah. I think there is definitely people are getting a different story of what's happening and focusing on the gas prices. Should we even be in this war? So that's definitely part of the narrative that people are hearing in the U.S. And not what's happening here.
Yeah, how it's impacting me. I need to ask you, and I'm sure you had an opportunity to meet some old friends and whatnot there at St. Mary's. And they know you're a little bit of your story. When they hear you've been in Jerusalem now, in Israel, this long, what kind of feedback, what do they tell you?
Well, first of all, they say, we're praying for you, for your safety.
Yeah.
We want you to be safe. That's probably the one thing they say. And I think they, appreciate, perhaps, being here so long and trying to continue to report on what's happening here on the front lines of, some people would say the battle of civilization is really here in Israel and in Jerusalem. But often it's like, hey, we're praying for you. Be safe, brother.
Yeah. Now, is there one thing you say in response when people are talking about the war and talking about your experience? Was there one thing that you sort of said again and again that kind of resonated with people?
Yeah, well, I think they need to understand why it's so significant, why this is necessary. It's a short-term pain, as we said at the gas pump, but a long-term gain if this can actually lead to either a regime change or the elimination of Iran as the major threat to certainly world peace here in the Middle East, his Gulf neighbors, Israel, of course, and even Europe, and especially, as they say, this is the great Satan, the U.S., and the little Satan, Israel. But people, need to make that connection. I think that's what we try to do here at Jerusalem Dateline, try to understand, help people understand why this is so significant.
And there's no two ways about it. You hear it all the time, but it's true. Israel, everything going on here in the war, particularly, very complex.
Very complex, complicated, but hopefully we'll try to make people understand, just like the sons of Issachar did in the Bible.
All right, well, welcome back, either way.
Great to be back. In response to increasing anti-Semitism around the world, a unique gathering in the U.S. brought leaders from Jewish, Christian, and Arab communities together. Our correspondent Joshua Swanson takes us inside this historic meeting, which is so critically needed in this moment.
The multicultural meeting in Nashville drew 400 leaders for the first ever Judeo-Christian Zionist Congress. It echoed the 1897 meeting led by Theodor Herzl that helped give birth to modern Israel. More than a century later, organizers say this marks a crucial new chapter focused on uniting millions who stand for Judeo-Christian values.
Even more shocking to me was to see on October 8th about 120 demonstrations on university campuses in the United States for Hamas against Israel. We came to realize that there is a state-funded, highly motivated, well-managed campaign to destroy the Judeo-Christian foundations of Western civilization.
Myers says when those global reactions revealed a deeper ideological battle, the need became clear for this union.
You have hundreds of millions, depending on who you ask, between 600 to 800 million Christians in the world who support Israel. And you only have 15 million Jews in the world. So 99.9% of Zionists in the world are not Jewish.
For many attending, mobilization became the priority.
There are about 800 million globally, biblically faithful Christians who love Israel, who are in their hearts Christian Zionists. They need to be educated, trained, equipped, and mobilized to basically form an alliance.
Speakers framed the moment as a turning point in history.
This is a historic change, a historic moment of Jewish-Christian solidarity and friendship. And this is a naturally fitting next step to come together and say, we're not just going to be friends, we're going to fight and win this battle together.
Many at the Congress tell CBN News the conflict surrounding Israel reflects something much bigger, a struggle over the future of the West.
The rise of anti-Semitism, the rise of Islamofascism, the rise of atheistic Marxism, cultural Marxism, the DEI, woke lunacy. We're dealing with it now.
Others warn that what appears to be political is, at its core, deeply spiritual.
Israel has been at war for the past 80 years, not because of what Israel did, but because of who Israel is. And if that is true, and it is true, then Israel's war is the war of the West.
Former Education Secretary DeVos warned that foreign money pouring into colleges and universities helps fuel a broader ideological battle.
It is inconceivable to me that we would sit idly by while literally billions of dollars are flowing into higher ed institutions that are then funding the agendas that are antithetical to the freedoms that we have long enjoyed and want to protect.
Many believe a new front has emerged in the battle of ideas playing out online and on college campuses.
It's not just the war going on in the Middle East. The bigger war and the pervasive war is the war of narrative, which is going on in the media, on social media.
This is called the Eighth Front, to build on the 7 fronts that Israel has had to defend physically in order to survive. This Eighth Front is not only about Israel, it's about all of us. The West didn't wake up enough to this soft war, to this information warfare. We are going to determine what the narrative warfare is, and we're not going to concede to our enemies who have taken over United States campuses, who have infected the minds of young people across the United States and Europe, brainwashed to think that they are the oppressors.
Reverend Johnny Moore explains this Eighth Front has also made its way into the church.
I'm actually alarmed that the sewer of the internet is causing ever so small but growing degree of anti-Semitism to sort of move its way towards the doors of the church. And we have to absolutely reject this entirely, immediately, and totally.
A common theme throughout the Congress is the importance of moving beyond a diagnosis to what comes next.
Now we must invest our energies into taking back the story of our histories. Coming together as we are doing these 2 days is the opening salvo in a war against the constant barrage of misinformation and hatred.
Jeremiah 62, right? There are going to be some watchmen on that wall, right? There are going to be some watchmen on that wall. I'm asking this Congress right now, are you going to join me and be watchmen on the walls of Jerusalem? I call on both Judeo and a Christian to become the cure, to unite as true Zionists in defense of the future of the Western civilization.
More than a century after the first Zionist Congress helped shape Israel's future, participants here believe this moment could shape the future of a new alliance between those willing to stand for the values the West was founded upon.
I like my team because we are on the side of truth and we are on the side of justice, and God is with us.
From Nashville, Joshua Swanson, CBN News.
War and the trauma of living under missile fire take a toll on the spirit. As a former war correspondent and embedded reporter, I can vouch for the fact that war changes you. But it doesn't have to be forever. CBN Israel helps Israelis in need every day with trauma counseling, food, shelter, and more.
After I was wounded in a terror attack 22 years ago with my 3-year-old son, we went through a lot of trauma. It wasn't just the physical wounds. We saw this trauma play out through the years with my entire family. I had a vision of somehow blending education with therapy to turn the pain of terrorism into miracles.
Sometimes a child has a very hard time saying what is wrong or what he is feeling because he just doesn't know the words to describe it. And through art, he can express what he feels inside without having to give it a name.
So we created a team of mobile therapists that would go out and meet the families and do what we call whole family therapy. Thousands of families have been uprooted, have been torn apart, and it's our task to put them back together. To take darkness and turn it into light, and take bitterness and turn it into sweetness.
If you want to be a part of what CBN is doing in Israel, go to cbnisrael.org.
Throughout its existence, Israel has produced phenomenal leaders. One leadership academy in Tiberias prepares young people to take on life's challenges while shaping their love of country. I was able to witness their training firsthand. Just above the shores of the Sea of Galilee sits an unassuming building in Tiberias. It's called Ein Prat Leadership Academy. And while little here looks overtly academic, these students will tell you those looks are deceiving.
I didn't like schools, but suddenly I love learning and I love listening to the teachers, and I love doing all of that.
This is really one of the hardest and funnest, and this is everything about this place.
This location is one of 5 branches throughout Israel where tomorrow's leaders are being cultivated today.
After the army, I want to be a doctor.
These 18-year-olds come from all over Israel to study history, literature, philosophy, and even poetry. As they learn and live together, they're also taught to go beyond education to create a shared Jewish Zionist identity.
I didn't really know what I wanted. I didn't really know what's my opinion. So this is what really described my identity and opinion. I all this time knew I love my country, but I didn't really know why.
And discovering why they love their country reveals to them how to best serve it.
They have to be able to handle variety and not be stuck in one box. They have to be outside the box in order to handle a multifaceted country called Israel. And they get those tools.
Ein Prat is a 25-year-old pre-military academy that's been operating here in the Galilee region for the last 2 years. Think of it as where West Point meets the Torah, with the same mission statement as Isaiah when he told the Lord, "Here I am, send me."
And that's the attitude. I mean, that's written on every shirt. It's written on the wall. It's the theme of this.
The Hebrew term for "here I am" is hineni. It means action over words, a call to be the first responders of Israel's spiritual and physical needs.
My uncle, he died in the Lebanon War in 1982, and I was raised on the same values: to always be the first man, to always do the things that they need, not the things you want. The most important lesson that the academy has taught me: to listen to your country and know what they need.
Tiberias provides ample opportunity for these students to meet needs. The city is home to the Aliyah Return Center, which sponsors Ein Prat. The Return Center, a charitable organization, helps fulfill biblical prophecy by bringing Jewish immigrants home to Israel.
They are able to do everything from playing Legos with an Ethiopian immigrant children, or from Ukraine or Russia or France or America. They're able to help these immigrants to really integrate, maybe open a business, maybe get their needs met, carry groceries up the stairs.
I have a friend, I mean, he can be my grandpa, but you play with them. When they're sick, I cooked for him once and made him a meal for the week.
These students learn that giving back is a core element of any leader, along with having a strong body, mind, and spirit.
This is something they're going to take with them as not only the memories of what they did, but the tools that they received here to use in the future for professionally executing missions and tasks.
Ein Prat boasts 2,000 alumni. Several now serve as Israeli government, business, and military leaders.
The head of Shabak, Secret Service of Israel, he came and he speaks to these young people on the level. Like, there's nothing that I did that you can't do.
An academic incubator in Galilee, where miracles happened. Today is producing the next generation of leaders.
The main thing that we learn here, we learn how to be better people.
Well, that's all for this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Thanks for joining us.
And remember to follow us on social media, and please keep praying for wisdom for our leaders, President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, and for the best possible outcome for the people of Iran, of Lebanon, and all the Middle East.
And pray for protection for Israel and for the peace of Jerusalem. I'm Chris Mitchell, and for Paul Petit and all of us here at the Jerusalem Bureau, we'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.
Je mag alles eten, maar niet van deze man.
Ja.
Dat is een keuzevrijheid.
Ja, en dan zeggen wij...